Hi, everybody. Welcome inside the CrossFit Update Studios. Sean Woodland with Tommy Marquez. Kayla Banfield is here as well as we wrap up 3 weeks of 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games Regionals. It was a blast covering all that. I know we had a good time here at the studio. I was able to go out and see things firsthand in West Palm Beach. But what was your biggest takeaway from these last 3 weeks?
I just can't believe how fast it went by. You know, it feels like just the other day, Sean and the rest of our crew were flying down to Brazil to kick off the Open, and now we've had historic performances across 3 weeks and 6 events, week in and week out, and I can't believe it's already gone, and we're looking forward to Madison.
Let's start down under in Sydney, Australia. We moved the regional from Wollongong to Sydney. And 5 men, women, and teams will be heading from the Pacific Regional to the 2018 Reebok CrossFit Games. And we start on the women's side where Tia Toomey edges out Cara Saunders by 30 points. And then we have Justine Beath, Courtney Haley, and then the youngster Maddie Sturt making a return trip to the CrossFit Games. But for the first time, Tia Toomey gets the best of Cara Webb at the regionals. How, if at all, does this affect what we can expect to see at the CrossFit Games?
I don't know if it affects it that much because I think I came out feeling the same way I did coming in. I think that the regionals were just an appetizer of what's really to come with these 2 athletes, you know, in terms of the games performance in Madison in August. I think both have bigger pictures in mind in terms of wanting to win the CrossFit Games, but I really think the final day of competition and the final 2 events was a good showcase of what can happen when both of these 2 athletes are side by side and really crank it up to 11, similar to what we saw at the games last year. Both walked away with event wins, both with event records on that final day, and really left the competition on a really high note that I think just is going to have everyone buzzing going forward for the women's competition.
Let's move over to the men's side where, for the 2nd straight year, sexy James Newberry wins the Pacific Regional. I mean, look at that guy. That's a whole lot of handsome right there, Tommy.
Oh, man.
Looks 100-point cushion over Dean Linder-Layton. Con Porter, you legend, he's back in. And then Royce Dunn and Zeke Grove. But it's James Newberry who just runs away with this thing from the opening event.
Besides
James Newberry, an absolutely dominating performance here at the Pacific Regional. We've seen you at the CrossFit Games a couple of years in a row. What is going to be the difference this year to really make a splash, to really show the world what you've got?
Well, during this off-season, I've really worked on my mental game. I think everyone that goes there is really fit and everyone is capable physically, but it really comes down to how you approach the workouts, how you game plan for them, and how you structure your mental game leading in for training and also leading in for the actual competition itself. So I've really worked on that, and yeah, I plan on going there and, you know, really making a statement and having a good hard crack.
Fantastic. And what has the crowd been like here in Sydney this weekend?
Oh, this has been the best regional so far. You guys have made it awesome. The crowd's been ridiculously good. Thank you so much, guys. You've made the workouts that little bit less painful.
Well done, James Newberry. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, guys.
First of all, let me echo those sentiments. The crowd there in Sydney looked fantastic. I would have loved to have been down there and watching that competition. But this is now the 2nd year that James Newberry has won the regional. And I think this one feels a little different than last year. How do you think this affects his expectations for what he can achieve at the CrossFit Games?
Well, outside of looking like a Ken doll with a man bun, I can't really find a reason why this can't be the year that he finally breaks into the top 15, maybe even the top 10. If you look at years past, 2016 was his rookie year. 2017, even though he won the region, it was a new location. It was his first time dealing with the pressure of being the regional champion. But now he's proven with his performance this year down in Sydney that he is the man to beat in Australia. And now all I really hope for him is that he can carry that confidence and that focus, like he mentioned in the interview, over to the games level platform and be able to execute event in and event out from basically the game start to the game's finish, and we get to see another Australian man inside the top 10 at the games.
He was a great story, but I think one of the most compelling stories that came from down there was Zeke Grove. He was basically out of the competition, heading into that final event, but Grove pulls off an incredible comeback, 50 points heading into the final day. We saw Becca Voigt do the exact same thing. But Zeke Grove finds the way to get it done, and he is heading back to the CrossFit Games.
Zeke Grove, what a remarkable comeback. Just incredible to watch. Everyone here has been rooting for you. Can you just tell us, we can obviously see it on your face, there's a few emotions going through. Can you tell us what it means to make it back to the CrossFit Games after a rough couple of days?
Oh, man, I'm speechless. Like, I didn't expect it. Coming in today, I knew I had to do something special. I actually posted something last night saying, look out for something special, and here it is. I don't even know. I got nothing.
That's okay. So can you bring us something special at the CrossFit Games this year? We'd love to see you really excel out there on that field. What are you going to do between now and then?
Yeah, that's a plan. Last year, my wife gave birth to our beautiful son. 3 weeks before the CrossFit Games, so that was probably one of the most stressful times I've ever had. So going into the Games, I can't say I was 100% focused on what I was doing. So this year, hopefully it's a breeze and I can just focus on me and do my thing.
Well, fantastic. Knuckle down and show us what you've got.
We've seen great comebacks take place in prior years, but it seems this year especially, we really learned that you can't count anybody out. And I give that guy a lot of credit because he could have folded, being as far out as he was, but he finds a way to get it done.
Really showed the heart of a warrior, and this hits on multiple levels. First, if you just look at the numbers, right? 50-point deficit heading into day 3 that ties Becca Voigt for the largest comeback ever. He overcame 40 points in that final workout. That is the largest ever in history, stands alone in that regard. He's the first athlete at regionals to jump from outside of the top 10 into a qualifying spot on the final event. He wasn't even in the final heat. They had to pull him out of the stands to let him know that he had an announcement he had to pay attention to. And then you take a step back and look at what the last year has encompassed from him. Like he mentioned in the interview, his wife gave birth to his son 3 weeks prior to the Games, 2 months premature, so he was carrying that with him as they flew to Madison. He comes back from Madison, has to move his affiliate, then gets a virus that leaves him in a coma. He wakes up from that, for 4 months of planned rest, required rest, just to get back to square one, and now he's going back to the CrossFit Games. This is a moment that transcends the competition, and if it wasn't evident by the emotion of the interview, you can see it from the support that's outpoured for him since.
It's going to be hard not to pull for that guy in Madison.
Absolutely.
So, best of luck to Zeke Grove, and congratulations on that. Let's move to the team competition, where a guy that we usually see out on the podium in the men's competition is on top of the podium in the team competition, and that's Rob Forte. Reebok CrossFit Frankston wins the competition by 40 points over Schwartz's CrossFit Melbourne. CrossFit 121 Athletic, and then Tamaki are the other ones in there. But what does it do for Reebok CrossFit Frankston to have a guy like Rob Forte on their roster as they head towards the Games?
Well, it's certainly a reassurance, and we saw that evidenced by their win in the regional this past weekend. But just having someone with so much experience and really a leader that you can look to for answers when things start to break down, especially in the team competition. And even look from a technical standpoint. There were 2 events at the Games last year that were scored solely just for the men triplets and now men pairings if that trend continues. And so I also look to their regional performance, though. They didn't finish as events 2 or 5, which are kind of hallmarks, in my opinion, for the team competition. But having a guy like Rob being able to carry your team in a stressful environment like the CrossFit Games should do them wonders, even given the fact that they weren't really pushed, in my opinion, at the regional level. So I'm going to temper expectations, but they should be towards the top half of the competition.
There was a lot of great social media stuff that came out of the Pacific Regional, and we're actually still getting some great stuff as well. And Kayla Banfield has been collecting all of that and has the best from social media from down under. Kayla?
I do, Sean, and you said it really well. I mean, we get our typical Sunday night reflection post from the athletes, but now a couple of days later, it gives the athletes a chance to really think, reflect, and put some thoughts into their posts. So I've collected some of my favourite posts from the Pacific that have come through a couple of days after finishing competition. Now, this first photo is of the Pacific's only female rookie to qualify this year, and that's Courtney Haley, who reflects and says she can't remember a day where she wasn't injured for the past 12 months. So her qualification is pretty amazing considering that. Justine Beath took 2017 off, which she said did wonders for her physically and mentally, and it allowed her to realise just how much she loves competing. Maddie Sturt has booked her 3rd year in a row, and she said that this year was the most rewarding and enjoyable because of the people around her. James Newbury, or as Sean likes to call him, Sexy James, which I'm okay with this. James talks about the power of positive self-talk and says he often gives himself a thumbs up or a good job mate after his events. And that was new to me. I didn't realise he talked to himself, but hey, if that works, then That's great. Royce Dunn, another Pacific rookie to qualify with his friend and coach Mike Towner, along with his little boy Jack. And finally, as Tommy said, possibly one of my favourite moments of all 3 weekends was Zeke Grove's qualification. So he talks about exactly what Tommy went through, which was having a child, battling sickness, moving the gym, and then finally his comeback into the 2018 season.